Your probation's been terminated. How you feel with that right now?
I'm kind of scared, but it feel good.
NBA YoungBoy and Ben10 go way back. So when Ben10 got shot in Houston, the entire rap world started asking one major question. With YoungBoy's past probation issues tied directly to Ben10, fans are trying to figure out what this incident really means for him now. Because whatever happens next could change everything. It all began with the Houston shooting that set everything off. On the night of Wednesday, April 8, 2026, gunfire erupted at a restaurant called Confessions in Houston's Upper Kirby area, located on the 3200 block of Kirby Drive. Around 20 to 30 people were inside at the time, eating and hanging out. Some were customers, others were employees, and there was even a small group celebrating a birthday. Between approximately 11:15 and 11:35 p.m., a fight suddenly broke out inside the restaurant. According to Houston Police Lieutenant R. Wilkins, a group approached a man and attempted to rob him of his chains and jewelry. That man was Detroit rapper All-Star Jr., whose real name is Jeremy Ford. The situation escalated fast. The fight lasted nearly a full minute. All-Star Jr. was knocked to the ground, with multiple people on top of him, throwing punches. Then, in the middle of it all, he pulled out a gun and started firing. When the smoke cleared, 2 men had been hit. One of them was Ben Anthony Fields, the Baton Rouge rapper known as NBA Ben10. He was shot multiple times in the torso. The second man was hit in his arms, legs, and other areas. Both were rushed to the hospital in critical condition. That second individual has been identified in social media reports as Dead End Ron. Now, this is where NBA YoungBoy comes into the picture. Ben10 isn't just some random person who got shot. He's one of YoungBoy's closest associates. They're like brothers. Ben10 has been part of the Never Broke Again camp, also known as NBA or 4KT, since they were kids growing up in Baton Rouge. He's even said in interviews that their connection goes all the way back to childhood.
This shit ain't start with me. That started with YB and 3. Right. This started with them. They brought me in this shit right out there. That's how that started.
Right.
This ain't started with me, but
so like, is that something that you a part of, or is you just mess with it?
Part of this? Nah.
So when news broke that Ben10 had been shot in Houston, all eyes immediately turned to YoungBoy. People were watching closely to see how he would respond. At the same time, his legal history started coming back up. YoungBoy has had a long run with the courts. He's been on probation multiple times. And one of the key conditions from a past case was that he wasn't allowed to be around Ben10, something that dates back to 2019. Now with Ben10 in the hospital and YoungBoy being one of his closest friends, rumors started spreading fast. Some people online claimed YoungBoy had already been arrested. Others said he violated probation by trying to visit Ben10 at the hospital. Some even believed he was about to be locked up again. The internet took off with it. But before getting into all of that, it's important to go back and break down exactly what happened that night. The owner of Confessions, Sterling Lewis, released a statement after the incident. He said the violence had nothing to do with how the restaurant operates. According to him, one guest was leaving while another group was arriving for a birthday, and that's when things escalated. He made it clear his team had zero tolerance for that kind of situation, and that they were fully cooperating with police on security. In the first few hours after the shooting, no one really knew how serious it was. Police didn't immediately release the victims' names, but information spread quickly through family and friends. Local news outlets picked it up. KPRC2 in Houston, also known as Click 2 Houston, was among the first to report it. Then WFB out of Baton Rouge confirmed through family that Ben10 was one of the victims. That's when the rumors really took off. Some people said Ben10 was paralyzed. Others claimed he was on life support. Some even said he had died. Social media was flooded with different versions of the story. And the worse the situation sounded, the more people believed YoungBoy was about to react in a reckless way. That's when the conversation about probation really started heating up. People remembered the last time something like this happened, back in 2019. After a separate shooting in Miami, YoungBoy was arrested for violating the terms of his probation. Part of the reason was that he was around Ben10 when he wasn't supposed to be. So when this Houston shooting happened, Fans immediately connected the dots. They figured if YoungBoy went to visit Ben10 at the hospital, or if he responded the wrong way publicly, the same situation could play out again. He could end up back in handcuffs. On top of that, attention shifted to YoungBoy's reaction. Clips started going viral claiming he had gone live on Instagram. Some people said he was crashing out. Others claimed he was declaring war on the entire city of Detroit. Since All-Star Jr. is from there were even rumors that he made threats. Reaction channels quickly jumped in, posting videos with titles like YoungBoy reacts to Ben10 shooting and YoungBoy goes to war with Detroit. The story kept building. Every day brought a new claim, a new rumor, a new version of events. And right in the middle of all that noise, one question kept coming up. Was YoungBoy arrested? Some people said it already happened. Others claimed it was about to happen. Some even said his probation officer had already stepped in. But to figure out what's actually true, you have to look at the full picture. You have to understand YoungBoy's history with Ben10. You have to break down what really happened in Houston, not just the rumors. You have to look at what Ben10 has been saying from his hospital bed. And most importantly, you have to understand where YoungBoy actually stands with the law right now. YoungBoy's and Ben10's history runs deep. To understand why so many people are concerned about probation when it comes to Ben10, you have to realize just how far back their relationship goes. They're not just rap associates. They're not just business partners. They're family. Ben10's real name is Ben Anthony Fields, and he's from South Baton Rouge, Louisiana. In an older interview with A Million Roses, he explained how he first met YoungBoy. According to Ben10, it all started through YoungBoy and someone named 3, who is actually YoungBoy's first cousin. Ben10 grew up around 3. Their moms even lived together at one point. So when Ben10 was still a kid, he ended up meeting YoungBoy through that connection. He said he was around 12 years old at the time, and he even went into detail about what their first meeting was like.
I ain't gonna lie, at first, I'm keep it all on 100. I be myself, but at first, people ain't like me to be myself. People used to be like, he too wild, or he don't care, or he say anything.
They fought at first, but after that, they became close for life. That was the beginning of what would later become the NBA. Ben10 said he was originally part of a group called the Invaders, which was the first name of their crew. From there, they grew up side by side, moved together, and built everything together. The NBA started off as just a small clique, but over time, it turned into something much bigger. In another older interview, YoungBoy himself explained how the name NBA came about. At first, it stood for Never Broke Again All the Way, but they eventually had to shorten it because of the National Basketball Association.
The probation is determining how you feel right now.
I'm kind of scared, but it feel good.
Now, the judge made reference to the fact that she says that you have people around you that she says aren't good for you, they don't have your best interest at heart.
So now you've got YoungBoy, Ben10, and 3 all running together as kids, eventually growing into what became the NBA brand. But along with that came trouble. YoungBoy started dealing with legal issues at a young age, and Ben10 did too. They were both known for being wild. Ben10 has spoken on that himself, saying he grew up in the streets. He admitted he was selling weed, while his brother was involved in trapping. He said he was always surrounded by that lifestyle. In that same older interview, Ben10 also talked about being a wild kid in school and how, over time, people started to respect him.
NBA YoungBoy to Never Broke Again YoungBoy because the NBA, I guess we was gonna have problems with them or some shit. So we just made it easier, I guess.
Got ahead of it before anything.
Yeah, but I'm still NBA YoungBoy.
Now fast forward to 2016 and 2017. This is when YoungBoy got into serious trouble. He was charged in a drive-by shooting case out of Baton Rouge. The original charge was attempted murder, but he ended up taking a plea deal and pleaded guilty to aggravated assault with a firearm. He was sentenced to 3 years of probation, along with a 10-year suspended sentence. That means that he violated any of the terms of his probation. He could be facing up to 10 years in prison. That probation came with strict conditions. One of the biggest rules was that YoungBoy was not allowed to be around certain people. The court believed some of the individuals in his circle were a negative influence, and one of the names included on that list was Ben10. That detail is key to understanding everything. Now skip ahead to May 2019. YoungBoy was in Miami when another shooting took place. He and his crew were leaving a hotel when someone opened fire on them. YoungBoy fired back. During the incident, his girlfriend at the time was injured, and a bystander ended up losing their life. The Miami case itself was later dropped, but YoungBoy was still arrested, this time for violating his probation. One of the reasons behind that violation was that he was around people he wasn't supposed to be around, and Ben10 was one of them. After that, YoungBoy was placed on house arrest. He couldn't leave his home, couldn't travel, and couldn't be around Ben10 or the rest of the crew. That's when Ben10 mentioned in a 2019 interview that he hadn't been around YoungBoy for nearly 2 years. At that time, YoungBoy's probation was finally nearing its end, and Ben10 expressed that he was glad it was almost over. So the fact that being around Ben10 was one of the actual reasons YoungBoy got in trouble back then is a major point. It set a pattern that lasted for years. Anytime YoungBoy and Ben10 were seen near each other, people paid attention. Anytime there was any kind of violence or tension involving YoungBoy's circle, fans immediately started worrying that history might repeat itself. There's even old footage of YoungBoy walking out of court after his probation officially ended, where a reporter stopped him and asked how he felt.
Ak will even continue, and Ak will say that they told him that they knocked out All-Star JR 4 times, they took his chain, they robbed him, and they would even be somewhat self-aware and say, man, we did too much, man.
In that case, the judge warned YoungBoy to be mindful of the people he keeps around him, saying it would follow him for years. Time passed, but YoungBoy still ran into legal trouble. He came off probation, went back on it, later faced federal gun charges, served time, and eventually returned home to resume his career. Through all of it, Ben10 remained close. Their bond never really broke. They stayed tight, still treating each other like family. So when Ben10 was shot in Houston, the concern was straightforward. Given YoungBoy's history, even being connected to Ben10 at the wrong moment could put him back in legal danger. That's exactly why the arrest rumors spread so quickly. People remembered 2019. They remembered how fast things can escalate when probation is involved. And now, with Ben10 lying in a Houston hospital, the question is whether history is repeating itself once again. But to understand if YoungBoy is actually in trouble, you have to break down what really happened that night in Houston. Because the facts of the situation determine who could be facing consequences and who isn't. The shooting took place at Confessions on April 8, 2026, a restaurant and lounge in Houston's Upper Kirby district. Around 20 to 30 people were inside at the time. Among them was Detroit rapper All-Star Jr., who was simply eating and keeping to himself. Some reports say he was having lobster tails and steak. Then another group arrived. According to Houston police, that group included Ben10, his cousin OG33, and several others. Some accounts also mention Jay, Prince Jr. being present or arriving on scene. Jay, Prince Jr., the son of Houston music mogul James Prince, has also been tied to various street-related controversies in the past.
First cousins, blood, like, we used to stay together. His mom used to live together, so that's how I met three. YP, I met that one day at 3 house. I met that. We had a fight the same day, you heard me?
He's also had his own share of street-related controversy. According to online discussions, there was already personal tension between him and All-Star Jr. What people are saying is that when both groups locked eyes inside the venue, the energy immediately shifted. Things got tense, and then the NBA crew allegedly jumped All-Star Jr. They reportedly tried to snatch his chain, force him to the ground, and began beating him as the situation escalated. The fight lasted close to a full minute. Then All-Star Jr. managed to pull out a gun and open fire. In the chaos, Ben10 was struck multiple times in the torso. Another man, identified in reports as Dead End Ron, was hit in the arms and legs. This is where the situation becomes even more complicated. In the days following the shooting, members of the NBA camp began sharing their version of events through bloggers and media personalities. One of the names mentioned was popular streamer DJ Academics. According to coverage from Hot New Hip Hop and multiple reaction channels, People close to Ben10 claimed in conversations with academics that they had actually knocked All-Star Jr. out several times during the altercation. They also alleged they took his chain and admitted things went too far. They further claimed that All-Star Jr. only ended up firing because after being knocked down repeatedly, he eventually got back up, reached a weapon, and responded with gunfire. But that explanation didn't sit well with a lot of viewers. One YouTuber broke it down like this.